Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition, a Wednesday evening edition of Critical Conversations with LHG. I am coming to you tonight to have a critical conversation about a very important topic. The National Association of Realtors, along with the Detroit based award winning documentary Locked Out proclaims that in 2022, 74% of whites in America owned homes compared to 45%. Yes, you heard me. 45% of blacks, a larger divide than 1960 when housing discrimination was legal. And apparently, portions of it seem to still be legal. Tonight, we dive into the documentary Locked Out. I have one of the directors, I have the trusted banker in the house, and we are expecting the housing justice activist and Power Ranger herself to be in shortly. So just sit tight. All right, let's go.
What is a critical conversation? A critical conversation is a conversation that reveals important context, not only about ourselves, but about other people. Critical conversations edify, heal, and provide substance. Join Latanya Harris Gooden as she introduces us to critical conversations right here on Trailblazers Radio.
Need you to do, and again, welcome to the show. I need you to tag, I need you to share, to subscribe, to comment, because tonight's show is going to be power packed. They're already coming in. Detroit is rising up in the comments, and all over the country, they're coming in. They're coming in. Hello, Auntie Diane. Thank you, Cousin Kenyatta. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. We are in here. We are in here tonight. It is on. It is popping. Do y'all like the blue lipstick? Listen, if you've been watching me and you know anything about me and the color blue, it's when I tell God to do something really nice, I wear blue for God. Okay, yes, this is me and God's kind of thing. Cold blue, all hands on deck. Get the disciples, get all 12 of them, Judas included, get them in the room. Hey, everybody can be rehabilitated, right? So let's have this conversation. So listen, did you watch the trailer? Did you watch the trailer, everyone, that I put in the comments on the post? If you did not, that's okay, because we're going to talk about that. Cousin Kenyatta, you already know what happens when I wear blue. It is going down so that we can come up tonight. Thank you for watching the trailer. I need you to make sure that you pay attention to the names of the people and the faces you see tonight. Pay attention to what they're doing. This documentary is second to none. I am praying that it hits theaters very quickly because the world needs to know, see, feel the plight that's been discussed in this film. If you haven't been watching me very long, you know that my show is always covering some dimension of wellness: financial, spiritual, emotional, vocational. We are going to get free and well in this space, right? That's what we do. So when I came across this email about this film, and shout out to the Housing Coalition who made it known to the community, and that's how I got my hands on this email. I was blown away. I know, I just, my mouth was open because that was definitely in those few minutes. That was my story. So tonight, without any further ado, I'm going to bring two of my guests up and we're going to begin this conversation. I want to introduce them to you. Keep on coming in with the comments. Make sure you're tagging and sharing. Here we go. Let me bring these wonderful women on the screen. Here we are. All right, there we go. Can you ladies hear me well? One
Absolutely.
wonderful. Welcome. I want to make sure I say your first name correct. Lucina.
Perfect.
Thank you, Miss Lucina. Lisa.
Yes,
Right. Ladies, thank you for being here tonight. I want to really, really let the people know that this is something that um, I resonate with. And give me just 1 second. I'm reading my private chat so I can make sure we get summer in here. Bear with me, everybody.
I think she might be in the waiting room.
Okay, I don't see anybody else at the bottom. I'm going to just message her really quick. Bear with me, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate you waiting for me. I'm just going to ask her to use the latest one that I sent so we can get her in here. All right. I've been telling my story in bits and pieces to my viewing and listening audience, and transparency is huge for me. I want to thank you, Lucina, for um, this creative work, and a wonderful shout out to Kate Davis, uh, your other creator of this and director of this amazing documentary. Um, I am just so excited to talk about it and to really dive into what we knew a little bit about what was happening, but I don't think we had a clue. And the trusted banker gave some beautiful explanations of what really is happening, because language is everything. And if you don't understand language, it could really make or break you. So, just the infusion of all of these wonderful people that came together with a different aspect of this, and the why and the how, and the women who opened up their lives and their families to this process, to the world. Thank you, ladies, if you're watching. Thank you for being so open. A little bit about Lucina Fisher. Let me give you some information. Award-winning director, writer, and producer, whose work is at the intersection. Oh, I love this statement of race, gender, and identity. So picture an intersection with where these components come together. That's the real deal for me. So her featured directorial debut, Mama Gloria. I had to say it like that because I got a mama that lives in me. Mama Gloria is a 2022 GLAD Media Award nominee, won multiple festival jury awards, and was broadcast on PBS. And we love PBS in the Detroit area. We grew up on PBS. Some of the most amazing and influential, informative programming came from PBS. So those are our roots. So most recently, 2023 Freep Film Festival world premiere in April. I don't know where I was or what planet I was on. I'm like, what? What?
We were just there.
Like, where was I? Oh, what? Did I have a Rip Van Winkle moment? Was I asleep? However, it's okay. Shine a Light Award feature, right? Best documentary feature, American Black Film Festival. Oh, I need to see some snaps virtually in these comments. Let me tell you, and this is my first time uh, being introduced to you. However, what you've been able to do yourself and Kate, and even reading through some of the notes and on the why of this, you
Hmm.
both brought such unique perspectives to this situation. I love the diversity of this team. I love the fact that you really did lay it all out for us in such an eloquent way. Hello, Simone. Thank you for joining. They're coming in. They are coming in. They are coming in. PBS Kids, Simone, you are dating yourself, my dear. PBS Kids, thank you, Simone, for being here. And I just want to tell you and to tell our viewers how much I appreciate films that deal with topics like this,
Hmm.
that may not be comfortable necessarily to talk about, but really necessary. That's why I call this show Critical Conversations. If you can think about in a hospital, when something is critical, when you hear all the bells and whistles going off, it's cold this and cold that, and it's a rush. It's like we need help. Something is not right. And I feel that way about this topic. In our community, we're suffering. I'm a Black woman. I'm a mom. And I can remember my family having these little sidebar conversations and whispering about our housing and going to my aunt's house. And when I got picked up, we were in a different home. And again, parents do the best they can do with what they have in the world they live in the mindset they find themselves in. So, this is really our story out there. It's not just happening here. That's why I want everybody in these comments. We need to learn, grow, and understand what's happening. The trusted banker is in the house. And when I read uh, your bio, what you're doing as far as financial literacy, even how you represented yourself and gave such great information about the industry of lending. You can't do a documentary without facts. You have to have your experts in line that give you that level of expertise so you can understand what is it? Because some of these contracts are pages, the print is font -2. You can't hardly see it, less known read it. Some of the verbiage is words you don't even understand. All you know is, Lord, help me save this home for these babies. What do I have to sign? And we sign our lives away sometimes just to get a piece of peace. So we think. So we think we have peace. But in essence, when you get a chance, America and abroad, because we're all the way in Africa and across the world here, when you get a chance to see this film, you're going to understand better what's happening in the world we live in today. Not just talking about the 50s, the 40s. There's some things that are happening. There are systems that are in place today that don't necessarily want to see everyone have a piece of that wonderful American dream. And we need to become educated about what's happening in our world financially. Please don't be intimidated by contract lingo. Get some help. Read. If you don't get it, let somebody else get it. I'm checking on our guest. I don't know why I do not see
Mhm.
Summer. Bear with me, everybody. I'm going to send her the link just one time. Hang in there, everyone. I just want to get everybody in the room. I'm just going to shoot this to her email one more time. Hang in, everyone. Thank you for being so patient. I just want to shoot this to her one more time because I want her in here. Okay. All right. Just sent this to her again. Okay. We're back. Thank you again for your patience, everyone. It's want to get Summer in the room. So let's talk a little bit about the trusted banker and some of the things that she's been doing in terms of financial literacy. And I read that she is looking to empower 1 million people, 1 million, to become more bankable or have more bankability. That's a serious word, everybody. But we want to stop becoming intimidated by financial language. You want to have businesses. You want to see your finances work for you. Here she is. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Summer. You made it. You made it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your sacrifice of time. How are you this evening, ma'am?
I'm fine. My apology. I was looking at the link and I was like, wait a minute, I think there's a second link.
I'm
and I
glad
was
you made it.
I was in the comments saying, hey, I'm here. I'm here.
We got you in here. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Um, Miss Lisa, I also just want to say when you talk about unlocking financial potential, it really has been a locked door for many of us. Many of us in our families didn't talk about money. We knew there wasn't much of it, but we didn't understand how it was supposed to be handled. And again, our families do the best they can. I am not giving any bad name to parents. I just know that my parents did what they could. They had plant jobs. And as long as you had one of the big three jobs, two chicken wings and a bottle of soda pop, you were successful in our community. Yes, it was just that simple. You work your fingers to the bone, you retire, and you hope to have a life after that. We didn't talk much about entrepreneurism. No. We knew that our parents made money. They kept those discussions very tight lipped. That was grown folks' business. However, now we're having more open discussions about money. And I'm glad that we have the banker in the room because, as you stated in this documentary, home ownership is the foundation of building generational wealth. We want to build generational wealth. We want to see our children even more successful than we are. Summer, I called you the housing justice activist Power Ranger, young lady, because you showed off in this film. Phone was ringing. Where are you? I'm on my way. We're going to get you a cape so that you can fly around
Thank
because you're a hero. You're a modern day hero in the community. Ladies, let's get into this documentary. I want to start with the creative process. Lucina, I need to know, how did this all start? What was the seed planted to even do this?
Well, we really do have to thank Credit Karma, which is a company that really wants to make a difference. And
Mm-hmm.
they thought, how can we put our money to use in a way that educates and uplifts community
Mm-hmm.
um, in the area of finance. And originally they thought maybe there's something there to these finance places where you go in, these quick check cashing places that
Oh,
take
wow.
total advantage of you. But they realize that it's so much bigger than that, right? It's a whole system.
Yes.
And where does that system come from? Often, um, housing where you live determines so much about your life,
It
where
does.
you work, your health outcomes,
Mhm.
your education, your children's future. A lot
Yes.
of it is determined by where you live in our country.
Mhm.
And so, rightly so, they said, dig in, see what more you can find out.
Wow.
And what we found is that, as you said in your introduction, predatory lending and redlining is not just something of the past.
Yes.
This is something that is happening right now,
Yes.
and it's happening um, quite dramatically, I think, in the city of Detroit, where you see where Detroit started as this mecca of
Yes.
middle class Black America,
Yes.
where you could have that great home and job and something to pass down to your children, to today, um, almost half of folks are renters in Detroit. And it is very hard to own a decent home that is financed by a bank, a real bank, not one that is, a predatory lender in disguise.
Yes.
And so I think it was really important to find the people on the ground
Mhm.
who have been dealing with this issue, but not just victims of it, but became empowered to fight back. And Summer encapsulates that. Um,
Yes, she does.
we would not have a film without Summer,
Wow.
because Summer, you are kind of the central spoke in this
Mm.
story. You touch on so many different people in the community, and you know that it is a bigger issue than Detroit, and that is the next frontier for you. But I think we really wanted to make a film where people feel not only educated and,
Mm.
yes, rightly angry
Yes.
about what's happening, but they feel a sense of hope.
Yes.
and that the solutions are within our hands.
Yes.
That, you know, if enough of us fight back, the powers have to listen.
Yes.
And Summer is one of those people leading the fight.
And she's doing so in an amazing way. When her phone rang, I was like, "What they saying? What are they saying? Where are they?" I'm like, "Where are we going, Inspector Gadget? What's the mission?" I mean, I was like so into it, and the passion. She's like, "Look at this home. This is not right." I mean, you really did, in a very passionate way, let it be known what people were dealing with. It saddens me that what you a mom just wants to have a place for her children to lay their head and to have a good meal. When if Big Mama didn't have that house, if Medea didn't have, I call my Amy's house headquarters. It's the everything. It's if you need somewhere to go, if you're hungry, it's like our safe haven in our community. And that's a big word for us to talk about tonight. Community, village. How do we even have that without stable housing? It's more than brick and mortar, people. We're talking about the preservation of the African American families. That's what we're talking about. Yes, the house itself is important, but it's what makes it a home for generation. It's the headquarters, cousin Kenyatta. It's the headquarters. It's where the fried chicken is being fried. It's where the homemade rolls. If you go down any street in Detroit back in my day, you would see somebody's grandmama with her hands on her hip. And when I saw Mama Geraldine in this film, Precious Lord, take my hand, I was sweeping with her. I felt that. I felt that. I want to talk to you, Lisa, and I want to go down a journey. I remember with my parents, I thought they were purchasing their home, the first home. This was my home that I was in high school. This home meant everything. I remember there was a lot of turbulence in the house about money. I remember hearing this term land contract and not and I'm in high school. I'm young. I don't know really what these terms mean. I kind of sneak and look at a few pieces of mail trying to put it together. I was a really nosy kid, but I wanted to understand what the nucleus of all the fussing was about. Like, why is this a source of tension in this home? I don't think the majority of the people really understand what land contract means compared to a traditional mortgage. Can you break that down for us, Lisa?
Yeah, yes, sure, I can. So the difference between a land contract and a mortgage, I can take it all the way back to history.
Okay.
Times where before there were banks, there were contracts where people bought properties using just contracts, put some money down, and I will pay you off in 3 to 5 to 10 years. So a land contract is basically that same concept where you agree with the owner of the home
Okay.
that if you want to buy this property, you can put down a down payment. So it might be $5,000 or $10,000 because they want to see that you have some skin in the game because they are selling you their home.
Mm-hmm.
And within 10, 20, or 30 years, based on however the contract is set up, then you should have full ownership. The thing that got lost during the entire subprime during the early 2000s, or
Mm-hmm.
what am I getting into? Maybe the 1990s, 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people started getting involved, right? And so a lot of people didn't know the rules, the laws, and the legalities around land contracts. People were selling their homes on land contracts that still had mortgages, which was illegal. So the
Ooh,
banks come back and take the home, and then nobody is the owner. People were selling land contracts to people and not recording them. And so that means that if they're not recorded, you don't have any vested interest on title.
right.
So you're not really a percentage owner. So these are actually good tools that can be used if you use them the right way and everybody reads through the contract and the people that are selling understand how to sell and the people that are buying understand how to buy. But then around this time that Luciano looked into back before the mortgage meltdown, we had organizations also pushing land contracts because there was a big issue with people being approvable, bankable in the city of Detroit because people didn't understand credit. People didn't understand
Right.
how to, how not paying their bills, or people were lose their job. Things would happen and people didn't understand that not paying something today would affect you 5 years later. So people
Right.
needed somewhere to live and they couldn't get approved for a mortgage. Now you're looking for somebody to sell a house, person to person on a land contract. And the other issue that I love that was highlighted in this movie was the disinvestment in Detroit. That's
Mm,
another issue with financing properties because you can't finance a non-habitable property. And the film documented that very well, how we saw prominent areas. That was the best story by seeing how her grandmama owned the home,
yes.
on the block. So obviously it was a great, stable, sturdy block. These were brick homes. And by the time her and her children were older, the disinvestment in that neighborhood, those properties had, deteriorated. They're
Right.
not financeable. So now people can't even buy those, but there will be somebody trying to sell it on a land contract to an unknowing buyer. So these are issues that need to be lifted up, and the documentary did a good job of lifting it up.
So, from what I'm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, or anyone, how is it legal where people are buying homes that are in an inhabitable condition? Isn't that something that our city should be saying, this is a no, 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 no? We need you to prove that this home is up to code. When I saw some of the situations that were happening in these homes, anytime you have to put together a staircase to enter, this should not be happening. You're praying something doesn't come through your ceiling. You're praying it holds up. No, that should ne- Mama Geraldine said it best: emotional stress, financial stress, spiritual stress. Everything about you is stressed. Your
Right.
stress has stress because all you really want is the foundation of a happy family, a good, solid, safe environment to live. And you have to go to work and be kind to people. Good morning. How may I help you? And in the back of your mind is, what is going on? Am I going to get home to just a pile of rubble or plumbing issues? Or so you wonder why we are dealing with some of the physical ailments: high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks, because mama, the nucleus of the phone, home, and no disrespect to dads, but the population of Detroit that I grew up in was mostly single moms. I'm just going by what I've seen. Dads, we love you. We know you're out there. But moms were showing up to daycare with 3 and 4 kids. Moms were the ones, doing everything. So when mom has to figure out everything, and when I look at Mama Geraldine's face, I can't do this. This is too much.
Yeah.
We lean on mama, we lean on granny, we lean on big mama for everything. And like my cousin says, big mama's house is where you lay your problems down on big mama while she prays for you and loves you and offers you several wings and a couple of, cups of Kool-Aid with plenty of sugar. We love sugar, big mama. I mean, this is our culture.
Right.
So, Summer, I grew up on Stout and Finkel. Had no idea it was called Brightmore. It didn't
Right
have
around the
a name.
corner.
It didn't have a name when I was there. I guess y'all named it when I left. But
Mm.
I watched the area. These were older people. Like one gentleman had to be maybe in his 50s or 60s with his two small little robe. He would come out pinching. Oh my goodness. Get back in your house, sir, and get a robe that fits. But he was a good neighbor, nosy, but watched out for you. Then you
Mm.
have grandmother on the corner. All the kids came over on every holiday. You got kids running around. So the neighborhood, definitely that particular street, blocks. Oh, beautiful. Everything. My granddad left this home in our family immaculate grass. He made sure everything was on point. Even in terms of the mortgage, he had paid so much down to where the mortgage was very affordable when he passed away. So when I moved into the home, after asking my mother, could I do so, I was excited to be able to say I'm living on my own, and it was just amazing. But over the years, as grandma started to pass away, and unfortunately, some of the children weren't willing to take care of the property either. But grandmama put everything in those homes: blood, sweat, tears, everything she had probably went in trying to keep those homes. I didn't know that you can lose a home multiple ways, whether it was tax foreclosure, mortgage, maybe even an unpaid water bill. I did not know. This is why this documentary is so important. We got so much information given to us in a very palatable way where you can say, oh, I got to do better about paying attention. I must do better about reading contracts. But I have to know, Summer, how did you even get involved in doing your activism work in the community? How did that start?
Well, good evening.
Good.
I'll tell you right now, I got mad as hell. That's
Okay.
what
Okay. There it is.
because I was tired of seeing what was going on in the community. And what happened was, I remember attending my church, right? When I was like 18 or 19, I moved into the Brightmoor area. And
Mhm.
one of the mothers of the church said, Summer, go back. I said, go back. She was like, you need to go back to your community,
Wow.
and I want you to ask for two people and start your transition of leadership, but you must start at home.
Wow.
And she was passionate about that. So then there was a community meeting. I received a flyer, and there were some multimillionaires at that community meeting, and they were talking about the bylaws and all this other stuff. And I said, well, hold on. Why isn't there any community input?
Mm.
And so I did not know at the same time the questions that I was asking in the room, that there was nominations for an upcoming election in regards to running for a particular community board. And so that following month, I went back because I wanted to learn more about what was going on in the Brightmoor community. There was a few nominations that said we were like for, they put my name in, and I'm like, what just happened? And they voted me in as vice chair of the Brightmoor Alliance at that time. And so I just continued to excel until it was like my time and season to do other things.
Mhm.
But I had the opportunity. That's where I would say I was at the midway point, because I was doing things in the school system prior to that with a lot of parents and families and listening to some of their economic needs. But when I started to get out into, fast forwarding to the Brightmoor area and seeing things for myself and living in the community and attending church, I even switched churches to that community.
Mhm.
It really was time to start to broaden horizons. And being one who was about to who received a home in that area, I
Right.
was was told we'll rent with the option to own. It was on
Mm.
TV in Detroit. It was an
Remember
investor.
that.
Uh,
Mhm.
I want to say his name so bad because it's still happening over there in that community.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and Mr. J.O., that's what I'll say, hyphenated. He basically went on TV under the Archer administration, former Mayor Archer, and said, hey, I have these homes leased with the option to purchase, stay in there for 10 years. Portion of your rent will go towards it. And I'm like, oh, shoot, great. My rent at the time was only $425.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. I was like, I'm in it. My son and I were about to go in this thing. And when it got to the 10-year mark, I started asking questions, and
Wow.
people started getting quiet.
Mhm.
And I was like, what do you mean? And then finally someone said, oh, it's actually 15 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
I said, now wait a minute. It was 10 years and I started to ask around. But when you start asking around, people get quiet and they,
Yes.
start shuffling. And so then when it got close to the 15-year mark, I started doing research on my own
Mhm.
about learning about becoming a homeowner. But I
Yeah.
wanted to start the process like 2 years going in, like preparing myself. I never owned a home before. I was young. No one provided me with the educational knowledge about being a homeowner. And so when I started asking around again, it got quiet. And I did know that there was another young lady in the community asking about the same thing.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, so we are doing the same, we're doing the same work, but
Yes.
I knew that we had to divide and conquer.
Mhm.
So I started writing letters, and finally in 2017, because now we are 3 years past the 15-year mark.
Wow.
Um, I went to, I believe, December 2017. I was at a meeting, and our current mayor
Mhm.
was there, and Mayor Duggan was
Mhm.
there in the room. The meeting was at Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church,
Okay.
and I mentioned about Brightmore. I said, "Hey, you have over 250 homes in this area. That many of them, the LIHTC agreement has expired, and a lot of us would like to become homeowners." And he
Mhm.
said, "That's not me. That was before me. I don't have nothing to do with it." Basically, blew me off
Wow.
in front of everybody. And I told myself, "Oh, you will see me again." And there was a gentleman there who was a part of the Detroit eviction defense at the time.
Mhm.
And he said his wife was there actually. She said, "You need to talk to my husband," because the room was packed in the church, and people were stunned at how his reply was to me about
Yes.
this home situation
Mhm.
that was blown out of proportion. So then I started knocking on doors. I started asking, and other women were like, "Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me." And I'm saying, "Well, wait a minute.
Wow.
It's women." Then
Mm.
it was Black women.
There you go.
I said, "Now hold on,
Yes.
Houston, we have a problem."
We have a
Meaning
problem.
that this was a pipe dream sold to Black women about a possible home ownership.
Mhm.
And one of my wonderful friend, her name is I have to say her name, Don. Don said, she asked the investor, she said, "How could you build on the land without getting like the proper documentation,
Yes.
so to speak?" And he said, "Because I'm white."
Whoa.
Yes, he told her that. And he was building the homes on the land that had not been registered. So you mentioned that area. There were homes that throughout the years had gotten torn down. And what
Mhm.
he was doing was, if it was 3 homes or 2 homes on the plot, he was dropping one big house on it. But here's the thing: the 3 homes that were torn down
Mhm.
were never taken out of the system in the city of Detroit. So the city of Detroit, to this day, do not even recognize that some of those homes are in existence and he's collecting rent.
Oh, come on. Wow.
Mhm. And as
Wow.
we started knocking on the doors and making noise, it was even on YouTube. One of the I think it was April 2018. One of the mayor's staff had said, we'll get you the homes for $1,000. And I said, "Okay." And it's on YouTube. And I said, "Oh, you just told the right person."
Right.
And and
The
so
right person.
the right person. But then it was like, "Well, I'll get you and Don your houses." And I said, "No,
Mm.
we don't do that, Miss. We don't do that. Everybody, it's all or nothing." And so, well, you and Don will be the first two pilots, and then we'll go ahead and get other people their homes.
Wow.
And so, when that happened, in 2018, we were able to close on those particular houses. However, there were stipulations that you needed to stay for additional 5 years or so. And other people, and then everyone else over there, "Oh, we don't know what's going to happen." A lot of leadership change downtown. Then COVID hit, all of this stuff. And even today, I went to a meeting earlier this year, probably about 3 months ago, and it came up again about home ownership. And so I'm like, you mean to tell me only 7 homes out of 200 and something are released?
Oh
Then
my.
then they said, well, they're under different life tech agreements and different homeowners and everything of the sort. That's my little pepper in the background giving. And
Pepper said,
so
"This ain't right."
yes, yes. So in the same sense, King, it was like we need home ownership and educate the community about becoming homeowners. But the rent is steadily gone up.
Yes.
And no one has an answer for these women of the community. And when I went to the community meeting, it was trauma to me.
Yes, I can
And
see
when
how.
going back over there, it was this trauma. And in the
Yeah.
same sense, we were trying to look in the transition, as you saw in the film, to where we are now. And my husband became ill. We had a relative that was ill as well. So we were preparing for our future to try to
Yeah.
get something to where we can be closer to a loved one.
Yes.
And as you saw in the film, we ran into some redlining issues. I
Oh,
had the actual banker look at this house that we're in and say, you can have any house you want, but that house.
wow.
Yes. And I was like, oh, for real? And
Wow.
he would not reply to any emails. And so I had to go get my one of my friends outside. He's also a realtor for over 20 years, and he was able to close the deal with no problem. But he had to, it was a lot of red tape and hoops. It was like, oh, you need this document, you need that document, you need more money. You need to pay your insurance up in advance, and this is a guest, how much you need to pay. And so I just could imagine how other families get
Yes.
frustrated about the home ownership process, the red tape, and
Yeah.
it's like you get ready to close into something else, like, oh,
Oh,
we forgot to tell you this, we forgot to tell you that, and to get you to get discouraged, or you
yeah.
need more money. And I laugh because I just found out that we overpaid, and now they're like, oh, we owe you some money back. Oh,
Wow.
well, isn't that something?
Wow.
So it's when you think about legacy,
Mm-hmm.
I often think about how that's going away when it comes to home ownership.
Yes.
I was watching the news, and I believe in Atlanta, Georgia, just outside, they're building a community of over 200 homes in which the rent will be $2,000
Whew.
a month. And I believe it's called Heritage Home, Heritage Park, something like that, but it's right just north of Atlanta. And that's the way it's going now. These investors it's no longer the option to purchase because you're getting priced out. Now, here in Detroit, it's cheaper to own a home than it is to rent. But
Mm-hmm.
where is the space for those of a certain age between the age of 24
Mm-hmm.
and 40?
Okay.
There's no housing stock. And if there is, you're going to be paying because the AMI has run out, in
Wow.
which was instituted by people like Mary Coleman Young,
Mhm.
former Mayor Coleman Young, and several others. But we have mayors throughout the years that never reinstitute another contract or revisit it. So now we have people who are about to. It was, I think, some seniors just got priced out of their apartments.
Oh wow. My
This
Lord.
is it's still happening. It's
Wow.
getting worse.
Yes.
So it's all across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're on short on time, but I was trying to put so much that's happening with this whole
Yes.
housing thing that it does cause trauma.
It
It
does.
does cause health issues. It's wear and tear. Heck, I got sick up in there. Um,
Yes.
big time. My husband became ill in there. So and I know Miss Geraldine, even when during the premiere, she was really, really hurt and bothered,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um and in tears, because it just reminded her of the process of when we had to go over there and rally up for her.
Yes.
So since then, a lot has changed in all of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
From seeing the film, it's like what they say, it's different how much a year can make, how,
Right.
over time,
Yes.
and how we elevate and transition and change. And I can say that, I had a quick moment with Lucina earlier with some good news that, when it comes to women and
Mm-hmm.
elevating
Mm-hmm.
and getting opportunity to bring issues like housing and to the forefront, one of the issues of many. I was just a press release is forthcoming, but with, as you know, here in Detroit, I know Lisa, you probably know about the commissioners, the Wayne County commissioners. There was a spinoff or like a addition to that of the Wayne County Women's Commission.
Oh, wow.
It was instituted about 2 years ago, and there's 15 commissioners that appoint us. We are not paid; we're volunteers. But it's a women's commission. We listen about women's issues and what's to come.
Wow.
And I can share because last Thursday it happened, but the press release is coming
Mm-hmm.
that I am now the chair of the Wayne County Women's Commission.
Yes.
And so, with that being said, when it comes to we
Yes.
talk about housing, and with the not only in the city of Detroit, that means Northville, Brownstown,
Yes.
anything
Come on.
connected to Wayne County, those 40
Yes.
plus cities. Women issue, not partisan, just coming together
Love
and doing
that.
this. I'm excited, and then I also shared with Lucina that I'll sit on a national board with out of DC with the public defenders, and we have something coming up, a major conference in November, and I talked about
Yes.
locked out, and they're very interested about
Yes.
bringing that to.
God is
We're
working,
going to
Kieta said. Yes.
so we're going to Oakland, California, and they want to hear about, more about housing. And so I'm about to write letters to get some our
Come on,
local
Summer. Come
people to
on
come to
and
California.
blaze the trail for us, sister. Come on.
So my sister would say it's called a non-traditional blessing,
Okay.
you know. And when you have non-traditional blessings, it's when you're called at such a time, you'll be set and ready for it and ready to lead. And so it's a blessing that working on a grassroots level, and
Mhm.
not I haven't gotten paid for any of this,
Wow.
none of this over the years,
Wow.
because I can't be bought and paid for.
Come
You
on
can
now.
hire talent and
Yes.
skill. You can hire talent and skill, but you
Woo!
can't have passion.
Come
Okay.
on.
So, with that being said, it's, I look forward to now expanding on different levels, and bringing this issue about housing, and along with many other issues, and
Yes.
educating. So yes, Ms. Lisa, I'll be tapping into you soon. Um, about issues that
Love it.
when it comes to housing and our seniors, we have a lot of senior citizens that are so scared right now. My bonus grandmother called today with some housing issues that have not been resolved here in the city of Detroit. So you have the city, the state, the county, everybody is like, who in the heck is doing their job?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Wow.
But some are.
You.
Nobody. I mean,
Summer is doing their job and hers.
Right.
yeah,
It's these Black women who are
Yes.
doing the
This
job.
group right
Lisa,
here.
who is educating folks, and
Yes.
and Summer, who's stepping in and helping bring people's housing issues to attention, to get them resolved. You asked earlier about the accountability and the oversight. How
Yes.
can a single mom like Nija just be allowed to purchase a home in 2 days that doesn't have a furnace or
Yes.
anything in the bathroom or a
Yes.
stove? It just seems I can't even imagine. I mean, that's third world.
Yes.
How is that allowed to happen?
Should
How
never
can
be.
that be sold to somebody? And it's because there is not government oversight. The oversight comes when people become renters. And
Mm.
then the oversight is on the side of the landlord,
Wow.
the person who holds the contract.
Wow.
So there isn't a lot of protection for these folks who are going into these land contracts
Mm,
unknowingly. And, like Lisa said, sometimes it is the only option for purchasing a home, but
yes.
you have to be so very careful.
Yes.
And you need a lawyer, you need others, realtor, folks on your team who can help you sort
Yes.
through and get the best deal. Because owning a home is such a huge responsibility.
It is.
Even when your home is up to code and has been inspected, there's always something that goes wrong in a home,
Yes.
and you just have to be prepared to deal with it. But it was truly tragic to see this mother who's just trying to do the right thing,
Yes.
right? She's like, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm renting and possibly being taken advantage of. I want to give my child a solid roof over her head,
Yes.
and goes into this unknowingly.
Absolutely. And Summer, I'm sure that was what you said when you said your child was 9 months when you moved into your home. I'm like, that young
Mhm.
man looks like he's a good, what, 17, 18
Now Philip is sure he's 20s.
now? Wow.
He's
9
almost 25.
months. Wow.
But I will say that, and thank you for that was a surprise in the film. I believe seeing it was a Nigel with her daughter. I
Yes.
got mad as hell
I know
in
you
the
did.
theater because I didn't know about her story. So
Okay.
that was a surprise for me. And I said, they did what? Who did? I was ready to call some people. I was like, where's she at? And
Mm-hmm.
it hurt me because that's a family affected.
It
That's trauma
is
for the child.
so traumatic.
How
Yes.
how many times do children have to move in their elementary school years, or in the middle school years,
Mhm.
and their high school years? How
Yes.
many times is it the embarrassment of not only your things being thrown on the curb, but then you
Yes.
got the community looking and saying, "Oh, they're looking in like, oh my gosh," and already forming judgment, but it's that
Absolutely.
child, it's those children. And we
Yes.
do have other amazing leaders throughout the city who are on the grassroots level who are trying to, but we all have our own different capes. But at
Yeah.
the same sense, it's trauma for the children.
It's trauma for the children.
and,
Yes.
and it's like that legacy has just been snatched from them, and not and and families transition, and I think Ms. Lisa can speak to this, not having paperwork in order, not
Mm,
being aware of those. When you spoke about the water bill and just different things that could cause you to lose a home, people just think, oh, I didn't pay property taxes. No, there are other reasons.
other
And so I
reason.
think educating on that land contract, the ring situation, all the
Yes.
way across the board, people are leaving the city in droves.
Mhm.
Evictions stay on your record longer than a bankruptcy.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
people are searching for houses to live and move to. So when they're evicted in the city of Detroit or they can't get a home, they're going to other cities before it show up on their credit report.
Yes. You're
And
desperate at
so
that point. You're desperate.
you're desperate. And I think in Houston, they just evicted like an entire apartment building.
Oh,
So this is a national
yes.
issue when it comes to housing, redlining, um, everything that encompasses land contracts. And you don't even know who own the homes half of the time.
Oh, that's
Okay. So, I think I said a lot there.
well, you brought me to my next point. Lisa, I need to understand, what do we do today to put us in a better position for home ownership, for understanding what all this means. Is so much that many of us just, we don't relate to some of this. We know what we want, but how do we even prepare to get there, Lisa?
So, okay, so this is Summer said a lot, right? So there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on because LIHTC versus land contract, two different things, right? LIHTC is low income housing tax credits. That money is given to the state, so the developer gets that money for free to raise funds to build a house to help people be homeowners, right? they get to live in their home for 15 years, and then it's supposed to flip over into home ownership if that person is ready.
Right.
The caveat to that is there's supposed to be programming around it, which if they get out of compliance with that process, they can lose all those grant funds and layered lending financial funds. But in the interim, these developers have started flipping the properties and selling to a different developer. So in that process, when they sell it out to a different developer, now the compliance issue is gone because the original developer had the compliance process, right? And then the land contracts is person to person. When you talk about evictions, that's not on your credit report, but it's in another system that pulls up. I had one on my credit report and this because they gave I was late. And so when you late when you renting, this was that when I was getting divorced, I didn't have no money. So I was like 3 days late, they take you to court on the fifth day, right? But I
Yes.
paid it on the seventh day. But that showed
Wow.
up as an eviction when I
Wow.
came time for my daughter to get a house in college. And I contacted that lawyer and went off on him. And
No,
he
you
had the balls to go off back on me. I'm like, you better send me that dang on satisfaction of judgment because you never evicted me, but it showed up as an eviction. So I say all that to say we need to be educated and we need to be vigilant about wanting to learn the information.
yes.
It's never, we've got a big push right now about credit score, and it's not about credit score. It is about understanding who can sell what to who, and understanding that, like, when I got in the industry, it wasn't a lot of black people doing mortgages for black people. That's why I got in the industry, because I had been denied at 24 by a white woman and she didn't tell me why. So now I'm gonna learn how to do your job and I'm gonna do it better. I started doing mortgages for black folks, but white folks was there too, saying how easy it was to get over on black folks because we do not know or understand credit. We don't understand the paperwork.
Oh,
And so they're churning and churning and churning us, right? And so I say we have to start saying we want to learn this stuff and stop trying to Jimmy rig it, how we be Jimmy rigging stuff. We
we
don't
Jimmy rig everything.
don't want to Jimmy rig our
Each
credit.
other.
We're not trying to delete stuff. We're not trying to hide stuff.
Yes.
We need to be upfront with the stuff that we done did because these folks
Yes.
is getting our money. These are federal tax dollars coming in for these light tech properties. We need to understand how these processes work and learn about it and ask questions. Stop.
Yes.
This is why I do what I do. So I'm on the banker side as an advocate because I want y'all to know the language. I want y'all to know the words because when I sat in the bank, I would see
Yes.
white people coming in like, "Where's my champagne?" and black people coming in like, "I hope I get approved."
Please,
It's
Jesus. Please, Jesus.
Yeah, so we should never be filling out a credit application hoping we get approved. You should know you're going to get approved because you've
Wow.
done the work to be bankable, and it has nothing to do with your credit score. It has to do with
Woo.
you work, how you work, how long you work, how you pay your bills, how much money you got. It's a lot of different, it's like 15 different things underwriters look at.
Okay.
The file be this thick when they finish. So it's not about your credit score, and we
Wow.
need to understand what are the types of properties. Is it a tax property? Is it a low income housing tax credit? Is it a land contract? Is it see, when it's private, when you're doing things person to person, that's private. There is no regulation on that. I bought a duplex on Kentucky in
Mm-hmm.
Puritan, and
Mm-hmm.
I went over there the next week and they had a lockbox on it. They had foreclosed on it. Somebody stole my house out from under me. I
Oh.
had just closed on it. So
Oh.
there are scammers out here. A lot of folks I know went to jail. So we have to be aware that
Yes.
people are looking
Awareness.
for people that I need to be in a home. I don't have nowhere to live. I'm so desperate. Don't be so desperate that you're giving away the only monies that you saved up, and in 3 months you'll be out of housing.
Yes.
Find people you can trust. There's people out here that you can trust to help you. Get people that look like you that's on the up and up. Summer is a great place to start. I'm a great place to start.
Yes.
You're a great place to start,
Yes.
right? But if you're in Detroit, in that market area or anywhere, and you're looking for a place to, start with people you can trust because we out here looking to these slicksters, and that's what they bank on. They bank on a fast talk. They bank on the fact that you don't know nothing. They bank on the fact that you're a first generation buyer. You
Yes.
trying to break the cycle and trying to do better for yourself and your family, but you haven't had that knowledge because you don't have that historical legacy of ownership in your
Yes.
family, where white folks have that historical legacy. If they don't have enough money, they just go ask somebody for the down payment. We don't got that. right?
I
So we're
bet.
looking for down payment assistance, we're looking for grants, we're looking for the best deal for our buck. But we cannot Jimmy rig home ownership. We got to go in there and know what we're doing. And we right. Find
That's
someone to trust and knowledgeable, absolutely.
yeah.
But then read the stuff. The hardest problem I have is y'all don't read the stuff.
We need to read. We need to read. We got to wrap this up. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to each of you for this opportunity to learn more about this amazing documentary. I need to know, Lucina, where is it going to be? When is it going to be in the theaters? Help me get this word out.
Oh, help us, because the film is on the festival circuit right now. We're heading to the Woods Hole Film Festival on August 3rd in Cape Cod. Um, we are working now to get distribution, hopefully PBS, because we want the film to be accessible. We're bringing it to conferences, to cities. Got a request from Columbus, Ohio, the mayor's office. I think it would be great to have it in theaters and to have the community there so that, you know,
Yes.
people are getting educated, motivated, activated, and change can happen. So, yes, please reach out, lockedoutfilm.com. You can find us online or on Instagram, Locked Out Film, and yeah, please, you know, get the word out, because we want the film to be seen by everyone.
Everyone. The trusted banker. What you heard today, these are things that she speaks on. Lisa, how do we find you? Because you are a speaker. You speak on financial sustainability. So how do we connect with you, Lisa?
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I can't remember the rest. I don't remember the rest.
That's all right. We'll find you. We'll find it together, America and abroad. Summer, our housing crusader. I want to connect with you again.
Yes.
Just let me make this a public statement. You three have an open invitation to this platform.
Thank you.
Whatever I can do to help promote this film, what you're doing individually, what you have done collectively, this is why I do what I do. The hope that you gave us in this film, I took it to heart. I'm going to do better at reading and paying attention. We have been marching into these banks with the church choir and the deacon board saying, Lord Jesus, please, knowing we only have 50 cents for the whole congregation. It's time to do better so we can be better. I thank you humbly for this opportunity, and we will be in touch again. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to tonight's special show. This was amazing. I don't know about you, but I'm encouraged. Be encouraged, people. There is hope. You see these faces? We got some hope. We got some players in the game, and we're going to get to where we need to be. I want to bid you good night. I will see you Saturday at 5 p.m. Same station, same place. I love you and have a great evening. Be blessed, everyone. Goodbye.